Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the DCI number 842-32. This is a set of automatic flush bolts is what this is. So a set is, in the world of flush bolts, a pair. Top and bottom is what these are. Yeah, top and bottom. Okay? So the bodies are identical. You're also going to get, let's just do a visual review of the items that are in the box. So you're going to get two automatic bolt bodies. You will get two trim packages, which will include the faceplate. This is the US32, which means two things. It means it's made of solid stainless and that it is in a polished finish. Okay? That's what your installation is going to look like. And they just swap out these faceplates for different finishes. Along with the faceplate, you're going to get, of course, the strike and or they have them removed. The strike plate and I guess a scar plate. I think it's also called a strike plate, however, or a rub plate. So you're going to get the strike that will go to the header or to the sill, floor, threshold. Okay. You're also going to get this rub plate. And this attaches to the active door so that when the active door closes, this strike is what's going to make contact with the trigger of the bolt itself, allowing that to close. So you'll get one of each of these for each bolt, so you'll get two of each in the package. With that trim package, you, of course, are going to get screws as well, combination wood and machine screws. A couple of plastic anchors are there as well. You're also, of course, going to get the bolt. Square bolt. They're not self-latching. They're just automatic, which means every time that active door is closed, the inactive door will be latched. Else in the package will be your guides. You'll have guides that will be attached to the top and bottom of the door. Okay. Depending on your application, if you have an inverted channel at the top, it will look like this. If you have a flush top, it'll look like that. Okay. So those guides are necessary. That will keep that bolt from spinning. You don't want it coming out of the body itself. So that's why that will be there. Let's see. And that covers all of the items with the package. Installation instructions are included, or template, a technical drawing, which we're going to go over in a minute. So let's switch to the screen view and take a closer look at the supporting documentation for this material. Okay, so this is the item that we are looking at here, the 842 in a US32 polished stainless. And the extended description information we'll go over when we switch back to the camera view. But let's go over the technical drawing / installation instructions. So product information from 2009 and 2018. Those documents are basically the same, except that they're different. And if I recall correctly, the older version, to me, provides better information. So this is 2009. And let's take a look at 2018. Yeah, I like the older version because it gives me dimensional properties, where this is just quite generic. So 2009 I like a lot. It's dedicated to the 842 and its series. If you wanted a one bolt only, which you could do, it would be an 840, and then you would do a bottom fire bolt, which a bottom fire bolt would be their 8BFB, and an 8BFB is here. And you install this set into both the active and inactive door down at the bottom of the door, and during a fire event they will secure the leaves at the bottom. So your inactive door gets the item with the intumescent, and I forget the temperature at which it activates, but it is long past anyone is standing there. That's to be sure. So not uncommon to have a top flush bolt and a bottom firebolt. Now, why would you want that? Well, the reason that comes to mind initially is someone does not want a hole in their floor for a flush bolt. Hospitals would be prime examples of that. It's an area in which it's going to be difficult to keep clean. So you'll find, as a general rule, so I'm told, piercing into the floor is not permissible in hospitals. Okay, so the 2009 document gives you some dimensional properties, which we're going to look at when we get to the template. But a good, nice overview. An 840 is a single bolt. You can do an 840 with an 8 BFB, or you can do an 842, which is just a set of two 840s. It's two of them. Fully automatic. Opening active door automatically retracts top and bottom bolts. Closing active door automatically extends them 3/4 inch into the frame and the sill, locking the inactive door. A dust-proof strike is optional. I suppose that is true, and that would work. You can put a dust-proof strike here. I don't know. I don't recall off the top of my head what DCI has as a dust-proof strike in terms of a part number. Yeah, I should have remembered that. They're 81 and they're 80 series, with or without a faceplate, for a threshold or without a threshold. You can use the 82 for any of those applications because it's considered universal. It has a nut, it has a faceplate. So if you're doing a threshold, you'll not use the faceplate. You'll use the nut and the body. If you're doing a floor, you would use the faceplate only and not use the nut. The 81 is just literally for an application, okay, where it's going to fit into a floor condition. The 80 is a fixed faceplate model. So 3 different versions of that dustproof strike. Non-handed, sure, they can go either way, top or bottom. You can install them however you like because there's no difference between them when you buy them as a pair. Or when you buy them as a single. You don't need to specify your handing to get these flush bolts. It's always good to specify your handing regardless. Adjustable bolt heads can be adjusted 1.5 inches, and that's just to help accommodate different dimensions in a inverted channel in a door, or a different sort of undercut that you might exist on the door. You can tailor that projection already. You're only going to extend 3/4 inch, but you can move that up towards of 1.5 inches. You'll still have a 3/4 inch throw, but your zero starting point can be moved. Low closing force. It takes less than 5 pounds of force to activate this, which is good because your closers will be at 5 or above. Override feature, which I will demonstrate on camera. Should there be a problem with the bolt entering the strike, it has an override feature which prevents damage to doors or bolts should the bolt heads be prevented from entering top or bottom strike. And then the trim pack, as I'd mentioned earlier, they're pulling the bolt, they're pulling the rod in the guide, and then they're just picking out trim packs. Finishes would be US3 for polished brass, US4 for satin brass, US10 satin bronze, US10B oil rub bronze, US26 polished chrome, US2060 satin chrome, US32 polished stainless, which is the model we're looking at, then US32D satin stainless. Now let's switch to the template and take a look at that document. Okay, now we're going to switch to the template, which is here, and this is the document that's actually included with the hardware itself. 2 pages, and the second page does not apply to you unless you happen to be interested in the 8 BFB, the firebolt. The second page is for the self-latching version of this material. So, we're just going to skip over that. So we're going to stick focused on the just the 840, 842 in our case. Prepping for this material is not difficult. So we're going to zoom in here a little bit, and what they're providing us is dimensional properties of everything. Now, I was about to say that prepping for this is not hard at all, but if you have a fire-rated door, you sure won't be prepping this in the field, most likely. So this is going to come prepped from the manufacturer. The door will be already prepped for this hardware. You might very likely be in a position where you are replacing one, and the reason these dimensional properties are important to you is because you're going to use this to make sure that it's going to fit into your prep, into the prep that's in the most certainly a wood door. You could see these, pardon me, most certainly a steel door. You could see these in a wood door, but they're really not the right hardware for a wood door. So starting with the, and I won't go into a discussion of how to prep a door for these, because I just don't think it's germane. But if you're going to prep one, feel free to call. I've done it countless times. So the important thing, if you're trying to make sure that this is going to work, is this: is your faceplate 6 3/4 tall? Is it 1 inch wide? If it is, so far so good. The final thing to know is it 12 inch from the top or the bottom of the door to the center line of the faceplate? If it is, this bolt's going to work just fine. Okay, that preparation is an industry standard, and whether you're installing a manual or an automatic flush bolt into that door, it's going to fit. So that's all you need to know about that. So here is the dimensions of our strike. Here are the dimensions of the what they call the active door strike, and that's when the trigger comes in when the inactive door is already closed. The active door comes into contact. This curved lip is going to make contact with the face of the trigger in here, and that's what is going to allow that inactive door to secure itself closed. Okay. With hardware like this, you're very likely going to need a coordinator. Obviously, door closers on both doors, most certainly. So, nothing unusual about this in that regard. Your rod guide that I had showed you earlier, or for an inverted application, but the bottom of hollow metal doors are very, very, almost always inverted. I actually can't think of one that's not inverted. Top channels are sometimes inverted, but they're flush as well. We do like those top channels on steel doors to be flush. And they can also be welded closed as well. That's nice if you're doing a steel door, because that will help keep the moisture out. The moisture, what happens when you have a door on a wall, that's a wall. Let's say that's 30 feet tall. Well, okay, let's say it's 12 feet tall. That rain just hits all of this. It eventually gets to the top of the door, at which point what happens is that water comes down, it creeps around, the door is in here, and inevitably it gets inside and it comes down and it pools and collects at the bottom of the door. So if you see a rusted steel door, it's rusting at the bottom, but the water ain't coming from the bottom, it's coming from the top of the door, and it collects and pools down there. So a welded top channel is always a good idea for that, to help mitigate that sort of problem. Okay, so a pair of fire-rated doors would be very commonly seen with an automatic flush bolt. Very nice in the sense of usability. When you open one door, the opposite door, when you open the active, the inactive door is automatically unlatched, so you can just move that door to the open position as you're coming through the opening. Okay, you want to be mindful of whether or not your door, what is permissible on the active leaf in terms of hardware. But generally a coordinator is going to come with this. Therefore, a door closer, and therefore maybe a mounting mounting bracket for the closer, so that it does not, disrupt the coordinator. So we've talked about where you're going to use it, the dimensional properties you can read on here. Again, 6 3/4 by 1, 12 inch. That can be longer than 12 inch. If you have a 9-foot door, you can drop that flush bolt down. But because of the fact that it's automatic, you don't need to have it within reach. There's no manual trigger to flip. So the concept of doing an 18, 24, 30, or 36-inch top rod doesn't really apply to an automatic flush bolt. Let's switch back to the screen view and let's take a look at these extended description items. Let's do that now. Actually, before we do that, the link here to the manufacturer's page, that link is going to allow you to view not only all of the DCI products that we sell, okay, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any other encyclopedic documents that we come across for any particular manufacturer, this would be the page that we place it on. Let's switch back to the camera view and go over these details with the hardware in hand. Okay, to now touch on those features of the extended description, just so that we be sure we cover all of our bases. First of all, it said that there was an override feature. It is, well, let's go in order. Set of automatic flush bolts UL listed. So these are listed and rated for use in fire-rated metal doors. If these were installed in a wood door, according to the product information, that door would be in violation of its fire rating because this is listed for metal doors only. So be mindful of that. Don't put these on fire-rated wood doors. Even though they can be made to fit, they've not been tested. They're patented, okay. Non-handed free-floating cam, sure. Left-hand doors, right-hand doors, top, bottom, whatever you like. Positive high-temperature latch. Positive high-temperature latch. You know, I take that to mean that this assembly is going to be manufactured and built so that it meets the requirements of a fire test. 3 hours, you got a pair of doors. They install it at the testing laboratory. There's a frame and a pair of doors put into a block wall. That on the inside of that is space that they will, I'm not sure how they get the test started, except that there's likely gas that's thrown in, like natural gas. A flame is started. That interior enclosure starts to burn. That temperature gets to about 1800 degrees within 2 or 3 minutes and then parks there for 2 hours and 57 minutes. The doors do not have to be operable after the test is concluded, and I believe there's a hose stream test. So they take a fireman's hose and blast the doors immediately. The hardware has to keep the door latched for the entire duration, fire and water. The door does not have to be operable after the test. It just has to keep it latched. So when they say positive high temperature latch, I'm assuming that they simply mean this gets the job done. Minimal force. Yeah, I don't have my force gauge at my desk, but you know, obviously this has to be below the minimum requirement of what a closer would need to be set to get the door closed. Manufactured with an override feature. So let's take a look. We're going to thread that bolt in. We're going to hit that trigger, and the bolt moves. If I were to restrict this part from moving, I can push my latch in. Okay? Because of that back, this part here is moving. That's the override feature. I move my finger away, the entire latch moves. The bottom bolt, the floor, and the strike area, that is a constant irritant when it comes to keeping that clean. That's why this exists. Be mindful. If you have doors that are not latching in the floor because of that, you don't have fire-rated doors. They have to fully latch. The label on the door will say the min latch throw, and that means your bolts, the minimum projection into the frame or the sill or the header in this case. Engineered to function in high-frequency areas with minimum maintenance. Sure, these are absolutely heavy-duty. I'm sure, I don't know that they're grade 1. I don't see that it's, oh, it is listed. Forgive me. It's listed as grade 1, which means 1,000,000 cycles. Trim packages, again, swap them out for different finishes. Okay? I think we've covered it all. The name DCI is synonymous with a relatively petite footprint of hardware. They have either trim and auxiliary hardware, wall stops, roller latches, flush bolts, surface bolts, or they have some exit devices. And you'll see DCI show up in exit devices because of their Panex exit device. So if you were to go to the manufacturer's page, pull up that catalog, you'll see their exit devices. You'll bump into DCI because of that for sure in specifications. The truth about DCI, other than bumping into that Panex on specifications, is that they're a simple, no-nonsense, straightforward company. You send them a PO, they ship it out, and they send you a tracking number. It's simple dealing with them. I always look for opportunities to work with them because they keep it simple and straightforward. In this day and age we live in now, just what's the tracking number? I don't care about anything else. DCI does a great job with that. Any questions on the 842 flush bolts or any other DCI product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.